Hello, everyone. My name is Holly, and I am the English teacher for this hour. So, welcome, Sofat.
Yeah, hello.
Hi. Sorry about these problems. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah,
So,
I don't know why, because I just mean like I'm waiting for the class. I mean like the bubbling just telling like oh, the class will be coming soon. I just waiting, I don't know how to
I know,
click
and
the button to join.
exactly the first time it happened. It's now midnight my time, and it happened. And I taught at 7. I taught at 6 and 7, and no problem. And then I taught at 9 p.m. my time, and that's what the
Hmm.
first time it happened. And I didn't think, and I kept closing the classroom and opening it and closing it and opening it, and I didn't think to give the link. So the last class, 3 or 4 people, but I guess I saw posted the link several times, but I guess you didn't see it. But for some reason, it just says the class will begin very soon. So
Yeah, the class
yeah,
will begin very soon. That's mean like the last class that I register with you, and just still
uh-huh.
waiting for like, oh, the class will begin very soon, and
Did
then
did
I wait until, wow, why
did you see
10
the
minutes
link?
ago.
Because I put a
Yeah, I
link.
just yeah, I just got your link. That's why I can talk with you right now.
Yeah. Did you get the link for the last class? Because I
No,
left one for you.
no, the last
There.
class I didn't get a link. I just
Oh, okay.
waiting for the class begin
Yeah,
until
I posted it several times right after you asked, but I
Mhm.
guess you didn't see it. So, not a
uh,
problem. So, where are you from?
I am from Cambodia, but I live in South Korea now.
In
Yeah, it's second
Calgary?
time that I'm talking with you.
Okay. I
Okay.
thought I'd recognize you, but I wasn't sure. And I work with so many people. If I usually if you'll in several classes in a row, several days in a row, several weeks in a row, then I'll start to remember people. So that's
Yeah,
so
yeah.
fun. Hello, Mohammed. Welcome.
Hello,
Hi. How are you?
I'm fine. What about you?
Good, very good, very good. So I'm glad you guys were both able to come in. This is what's happening right now. Even though the class is live,
Yeah,
and you go to
right.
my,
Totally.
I checked this with the first class. You go to my Google Plus, and
Hmm.
I can see the recording. And you'll see the recording on YouTube and everything. But for some reason, it says the class will begin very soon. And when you go to see when you go to this page, you can't even see that the class is live. It just has upcoming classes. And so
Yeah.
the only people that can actually access this class are the people who have reserved. And normally they tell us not to put the link, on the link of the classroom on there. But I figured, well, since nobody can access it unless they have reserved a class, I thought no problem. So
Yeah.
so anyway, yeah. But all right. So tell me, in Egypt, Mohammed, what time is it right now?
It's 9 a.m.
9 a.m. Okay, awesome. And what time is it Calgary? It's kind of late. So fast.
In South Korea?
Oh, you're in South Korea. Oh, now I
Yeah.
remember you. Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, I thought you said Calgary. So
South
sorry.
South
So
Korea. Yeah.
No, yeah, yeah, I remember you now. Absolutely. You work
Hmm.
in oh, what was it? What was it?
In car
Samsung?
company, a Samsung company, car
Yeah,
company.
Samsung
Yeah.
cars. Yeah, I totally remember you now.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, yeah, I think it's been about 2 months.
Maybe like 1 month.
One
Yeah.
month? Okay.
Yeah.
So, awesome. Okay. Excellent. Well, what we're going to do is talk about outsourcing today. And so this is called mixed signals for outsourcing, and this is a vocabulary and a reading lesson. So since in this classroom I do not have access to the chat, I have to actually go to I let's see. I have to go under here to do the chat. So I'm going to actually be using the Verbling chat, not the Verbling, the Google chat for this. So that's the blue box on the top, on the side, the blue box with the white lines. So, so I'll be making notes. Okay, so the first question, what is outsourcing? Does anybody know what is outsourcing? Mohammed, do you know what outsourcing is?
No, in
No?
fact,
No? Okay. All right. And Shahat, do you know what outsourcing is? Sofat, I mean, sorry.
Yeah,
Sofat.
yeah, yeah. To be honest, I don't know exactly what it means, but maybe you're talking about the similar with like guarantee, like
No,
about
it's uh-uh.
the job lost.
Mm-mm. No. So you don't know what it is either. That's fine.
Yeah.
Welcome, Aratheli. Welcome, you found us.
Yes, it was very difficult because you are I think you are not online. The class is not broadcasting, and then I couldn't find it in my reservations and everywhere.
Oh no.
Yes, I think it's like if you go to the Berlin page, it looks like there aren't any
No
classes
class.
online now.
Yeah, that's what I was showing the guys. It was like, and this see, I was telling them that I taught at 6 my time, 6 p.m. and 7 p.m., and there was no problem. And then I taught at 9 p.m., and that's when I noticed a problem, and I went in and out 5 times. So, and finally but I didn't think to leave the link. And then I thought during the break, um, that I'll leave the link, because the only people that actually can access us are people who have reserved. So, but yeah, it's really weird. Upcoming classes, there's nothing live on the page at all. So it's again, I wonder if it's another Google update. Do you remember about a month ago, when Google updated and didn't tell Verbling? And
Yes, I
yeah,
had a lot of trouble because I remember there was a class and everybody was dropping off from the class and couldn't come back. And I was trying to join the class and I couldn't. I was listening, but I
oh,
couldn't during the whole hour. And the teacher at the beginning, maybe there were 7 or 8 students, they were dropping off and never could come back. And the teacher was alone at the end of the
oh
class.
wow. Did the teacher continue?
Yes, because there
Yeah,
were few students, but it was
yeah,
very straight. I think it
yeah,
was a Google problem because I read to Berlin, I told me that. Maybe it happened for an hour or two.
yeah. Well, that was one. That's what I'm talking about. Is, remember in November there was about 2 weeks when you could not actually view.
Ah, yes, yes. But we could join. I mean, for
Yeah,
people who don't have a membership, it was bad. But many people, in fact, they didn't want to join the class because they didn't have the level, but they
uh-huh.
had to join in order to listen. So
Yeah,
there were
exactly.
people saying, "I'm just listening. I don't want to
Yeah,
participate."
I didn't run into that as much as I thought I would. There was only like one or two. It wasn't near as many as I thought. So, but anyway, so Araceli, do you know what outsourcing is?
Yes, yes. I have working in this kind of arrangement for many years when I work as a computer programmer.
Okay, so could you explain to everyone what it is?
Well, more or less, it means that, for example, a company or, for example, a public company is very frequent. They don't want to hire any employees, so
Mm-hmm.
what they do is they contract another company to provide them the employees on the services they need. For
Mm-hmm.
example, for a call center or for the cleaning service.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's like these kind of things the company doesn't want to do with their own staff, so
Mm-hmm.
they hire another company. But sometimes, for example, I was working for a bank and the bank had almost no employees. All of the people who were working for the bank were from different companies. So that's how I was working. For example, in my there was a whole floor when I was maybe we were 100 people, and only the top manager of all of us was belonged to the bank, was an employee of the bank. The rest of us belonged to external companies.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. So in case you find her accent difficult, which I personally don't, Sofat and Mohammed, uh, outsourcing is when a company chooses not to hire employees directly. They hire a company to provide the employees. So one example is a company who needs a call center for customer service. They outsource it to India, or they outsource it to the Philippines, or Ireland is another place. So, does that make sense, Sofat?
I have doubt. I just understand a little bit, but you can tell me more clearly about that.
Okay. So, for example, uh, Araceli, when you were working for the bank, what job did you do?
Well, I was programming.
Okay, so she worked for a bank. She was a programmer in the bank, but the bank did not actually pay her salary.
Mhm.
An agency paid her salary, and the bank outsourced all of that work.
Mhm.
So that's what outsourcing is.
Uh, yeah, I got it.
Does that make sense? And
Uh-huh.
so it's sometimes a company will go to another country because they can get cheaper labor
Mhm.
than in than here in the in whatever country they are in. So, for example, I taught at a company who they were a plastics company, and they made plastics for mobile phones,
Mhm.
for Nokia mobile phones actually, and they just announced one day that all of their factories were closing, and they were outsourcing to China. So
Mhm.
they closed all their factories in Finland and only kept their sales divisions. So that's one thing. Okay, so
Okay.
what? Okay. Does that make
Okay, go ahead.
sense?
Yeah, okay,
Yes.
okay.
You can ask. You have a question?
No?
Okay. Mohammed, do you understand a little?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, awesome. Okay. What kinds of services do companies outsource? So, Safa, can you think of kinds of services companies outsource?
Yeah, you like the sentences that you reading, right?
Like what? Excuse me?
No, what do you mean?
Like this question right here. What kinds of services do companies outsource?
Uh-huh.
So, Araceli, can you think of some?
Yes, for example, the call service is
Uh-huh.
usually for example, for people when they call for help, the assistance, technical assistance.
Mm-hmm.
For example, I give you the example, the cleaning service also. These are
Cleaning.
commonly
Mm-hmm.
outsourced.
Cleaning service, and actually some companies outsource their accounting or bookkeeping,
Yes, personal resource,
and also
human
human resources.
resources. Yes.
Human resources. Some companies do. Some companies, it depends on the company. Some companies keep these in-house because it's very important. But they outsource the call center and the cleaning services, or another one would be maybe their food service if they have a
Mm-hmm.
restaurant. they will outsource that, and they will not have um, they will hire a food service company to come in um, and
So and how about real estate?
excuse me.
Real estate. This means like the company that support for the people who when they want to buy new house
Uh-huh.
or like that, and the real estate company support to the people for find the new house or new building.
Uh-huh.
So do I mean like the real estate company? Do we can call the outsourcing?
Um, well, when say for example, I think in your situation, since you are an expat in Korea,
Mm-hmm.
and did your company pay for your housing?
Yeah.
Okay, yes, then that would be an outsourced service that they provided.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So in my like for example, in my situation in when I went to Finland, my company took my rent out of my pay for the first few years, but they did not outsource this. They we had a secretary that found me an apartment, got me furniture and everything. So they did not
Uh,
outsource it. But in your company, they went to a real estate agency and they had their real estate company do it. So they outsourced that service. So
mm-hmm.
because companies will outsource a service that is not core to their business, so that they
Mm-hmm.
don't
Yeah.
need to worry about. So, unless they go abroad, then they do it because of money. So, which regions of the world are well known for providing outsourcing services for companies in the West? Do you guys know which countries?
I think here in Spain, we usually have the telephone companies have their call centers in South America.
Okay. Oh, South America. So, do you know of any specific country that?
I'm not sure about the name of the countries, but
Okay.
I think it's because their salaries are lower and they
Lower.
speak Spanish,
Okay.
so
So,
for them it's easy.
Spanish speaking country. Okay. Okay, so South America for Spain. Okay. So I hadn't heard this one actually. South America. But I think it's for Spanish speaking. Oops. And then for English, it's India and the Philippines. And the other one that's really popular is Ireland. And the reason Ireland is because the social costs for the companies are very, very low. And so the companies do not have to pay as much. And then for India and the Philippines, it's because most people can speak English, and the rates are very, very low. So, okay. So let's look at some key words. We have resemble, inflation, overheads, essential, genetic makeup, and staff turnover. Okay, are there any of these words that you do not know?
Overheads?
Okay, overheads are the costs involved to run a company. So the rent that you pay, um, and things like that. So you pay rent, you pay whatever you pay to run the company. That's an overhead. So I keep saying the same thing. So, Shahat, can you see a word?
Okay.
Okay, is there any word here that you do not know?
Mm, and how about staff turnover?
Staff
Turnover.
turnover. Okay,
Yeah.
staff turnover is when a company hires a group of people and then many of them quit, and they have to keep hiring. So that means their staff is turning over a lot. If people quit faster than they can hire. So now in English, turnover without the word staff, turnover is net profit, net sales. I mean, net sales, and so in this is in British English, British English,
Yeah.
and net sales is American English, and in American English, the only time we ever talk about turnover is when we are talking about staff turnover. But in this respect, this is finance. And I remember when I was first in Finland, and I was at a telephone company, and I asked them what is the, what did I ask? What did I ask? Oh, okay, tell me about your company. So tell me about your company. And they told me that they had a very high turnover and that they were very proud of that. And well, they were talking about the financial. So if you have a high turnover in finance, it's very, very good. In staff turnover, you want to have a low turnover. So low staff.
Sometimes employers like to have a very high staff turnover here in Spain because it means that people are always new, and so they get lower salaries. It's a problem sometimes here, but they don't think it's important to have experienced employees, but the ones who are younger are usually willing to work for a low pay.
Yeah, I think that is typical in some industries. That is true. Shahat, have you heard of that as well?
Yeah, I got it. And another one, I don't understand about the inflation.
And okay, inflation has to do with how quickly the money that the money that we spend goes up. I'm not very good at explaining this one, but it's a finance word. But it's like, for example, a lot of times they'll say we have a 4% inflation, and that means the value of the money is going up 4%. And we see it as consumers. We see the inflation because 6 months ago, milk was $1.50, and now it's $3. So that's a huge inflation. So if inflation,
I think for my ideas, I mean this vocabularies mean when the products, when they want to sell out to the market, and then the seller always like inflation to their products because they want to get more price from their customers, right?
Well, no, actually not, because inflation has to do with the economy. And so in the company, the salesmen do not even think about inflation at all. So at least I don't know if they do, but it's the government that really thinks about inflation, and it's the government and if you heard of GDP, gross domestic product, and gross national product, that's what determines what inflation is. So if inflation is really, really high, no one can afford anything. If you have a low inflation, basically it's the rate, prices increase.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, so it's really hard to explain. So okay, and this is the third class today that I've gone over the word essential. So Interesting. Okay, let's go ahead and match these. We have A. Shahat, could you read A and see if you can match that with the correct word?
Mm, a general continuous increase in prices. I think we talking about number two that we just talked early,
Yep,
inflation.
that's why I chose you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. All right, Araceli, could you read letter B?
How often employees leave a company and are replaced by new people? That's staff turnover.
Yes. Okay, and then Shahat, could you read C?
See the regular general cost of running a business, example, rent, heating, electricity.
Heating. So heating.
Oh, heating,
Yeah.
electricity.
hmm So what would that be?
Uh, uh, maybe I don't know.
Okay.
Makeup?
Actually, no. Araceli, this was your new word.
Yes, you explained it quite well. The regular general cost of running a business
Uh-huh.
is overhead.
Overheads, yes. So
Mhm.
overheads. So when you consider when a person goes into business, they have to consider, do they have the money for the overheads? And so I have a company, but it's an internet-based company, so I have very little overhead. So very, very little. So um, okay, and um, Araceli, could you read D?
The way in which people are composed according to their genes. Genetic makeup 5.
Yes, yes. So genetic makeup is how people are made, I guess. So, all right. And Shahat, could you read E?
To look like or to be something or someone.
Okay. And what word would
Mm,
that be?
uh, number one?
Yep, resemble.
Yeah.
Resemble. Okay. So, do you resemble anyone in your family, Shahat?
Mm, no. Oh, yeah, maybe like a little bit similar with the people when I was living in Cambodia.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
Who did you resemble?
My classmate.
Oh, okay. All right. So I have a twin sister, and we look very similar. Yeah, Artheli, have you seen the picture that I've shown?
No?
Oh, you haven't? Okay. I show every once in a while I'll show this picture, and it's not really that great of a picture, but it shows how similar we are. This is my mom,
Wow.
and her and I, and we look, we're both giving each other, but we
And
are.
so which one your picture?
I don't know. Usually, so far everybody who's been in my classes a lot can figure it out.
I
So
think
Araceli,
you're
The,
the
the,
one in
the,
pink?
yes, yeah.
Mhm.
So far everybody has been everybody who
Ah,
has
teacher,
learned to know.
you wearing t-shirt that EF what I mean English town.
Yeah, well, not English Town. I was a coordinator for EF Foundation for Foreign Studies. So at the time that this picture was taken, no, it was, yeah, it was actually, yeah, it was during this time. I what I did was when foreign exchange students would come from other countries, I would help them. I would find host families, and then I would supervise the host families and the kids while they were here.
Mm-hmm.
And EF has a very big foreign exchange program. So, but yeah, no, I've never worked for Englishtown. So, but they were one of the first though. So, companies. But yeah, hadn't even thought of that. Maybe I need to not not show this picture. Find another picture of her and I. But we definitely resemble each other, and to the point that we've realized that when we go places alone, just her and I together, people don't forget us. so we try not to go to the same stores very often. So, all right. So we have the last one was essential, which means very important. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and read an article, and we're going to read an article on the Indian outsourcing industry, and then we're going to answer the following questions, okay? So let's read the questions, and then we'll answer them. I'm going to read them real quick, just to make it go faster, and then we'll read the article. So what is the main reason why some companies want to close down their outsourcing operations in India? Number 2, what is reverse outsourcing? Number 3, what is the cause of the rising strength of India's currency? Number 4, how do Mindtree Consulting intend to reduce their costs? Number 5, why is the Indian outsourcing industry still growing despite wage increases? Number 6, in which sector is there a sharp growth in wages? Number 7, Shahat, could you mute yourself? Your roommates are singing.
Okay. Always.
Yeah, I remember that from last time too. In which sector is there a sharp growth in wages? In which sector are Indian wages much lower than in the West? And number 8, which human resources problem do Indian call center operations have to deal with? And interestingly enough, it's the same one that Idaho call centers have to deal with. What outside threat is the Indian outsourcing industry facing? And number 10, what characteristic of Indian people gives the Indian outsourcing industry a competitive edge, according to the chief executive of Mindtree's IT services? So, for you guys, are there any words that I just read that you do not know? Any words that you do not know?
No, I'm okay.
You're fine? Okay, how about you?
And how about shape?
Which word?
The number 6.
Number 6? This one right here?
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, that's sharp growth.
Sharp.
Sharp. Sharp is something that, let me show you in Google Images real quick. The meaning of this is actually about sharp growth. Okay. So what language is he speaking, by the way? It's interesting what he's singing. So sharp growth. Bear with me a moment. This is actually what it's talking about, is a sharp growth. This is a sharp decline. If something goes really fast high like this. And sharp itself has a different meaning. Let's see what pictures come up here. Something that is sharp. No, this doesn't. Okay. This is sharp right here. Right here. This is what we would say knives are sharp. Okay, so that's another meaning. But a second meaning, Shahat, for sharp is intelligent. So intelligent. Okay, so you get it. Thank you. Okay, any other words in this that you do not know? Okay, so let's go ahead and so mixed signals for outsourcing. Wages in the Indian IT sector are starting to resemble those in the West. Some companies are bringing the jobs back home. So Shahat, can you read number 1?
Okay, the number one, there have been confusing messages in recent weeks, which suggest that the outsourcing boom in India has reached a peak and that the financial benefit of outsourcing work to the country may be coming in the end.
Right. Do you guys understand all of these words? RFLE? You're fine?
Yes.
Okay. Shahat, do you understand?
Mm, just a little bit.
Okay. So let's talk about to reach a peak. This is a phrasal verb, and when you talk about a peak, you talk about a peak of a mountain. But this is an example. They've reached their peak in outsourcing, and they're heading on down. So that's really what it means. So India is believing they're not going to be they're not going to have as much work in the future. So okay, RFLE, could you read number 2?
The search engine company like .com recently announced it was closing its Indian engineering site and transferring jobs back to the US because wages in Bangalore had simply become too high. The company's chief executive, Mr. Shah, said, Bangalore wages have been growing like crazy. Just before the announcement, one of his Bangalore engineers could earn 75% of the US salary. 2 years earlier, the same engineer had been earning 20% of the American salary.
Wow, that's amazing. So don't you think?
I don't know, the employees have to be happy because maybe the cost of life went up, but if not,
Yeah,
suppose you're doubling or tripling your salary
yeah,
in 2 years.
exactly. Yeah, possibly the cost of living went up. So instead of cost of life, we say cost of living. So yeah. All right. Number 3, Shahat, can you read number 3?
Okay, number three. In Britain, the Indian government is estimates that there are 5,000 jobs that have been created by reverse outsourcing or investment from India. All are in e-commerce and software. One of comedian made a joke about middle-class Indians from Bombay dealing a cousin in Scotland to book to train ticket to Delhi and complaining that they cannot understand the Scottish accent. When will this joke become reality?
Okay. So let's go over a little bit about pronunciation here. Okay. So so dialing a call center is how you would say it. So dialing a call
Dialing,
center
dialing a call center.
in Scotland to book a train ticket to Delhi, and complaining they cannot understand the Scottish accent. Do you guys get this humor?
Yes, it's funny.
So basically middle class Scots and British people and even Americans, we all complain about international outsourcing. So when we call a call center and we get an Indian accent, uh, we don't like it. So because many times we cannot understand the Indian. A lot of Americans, especially, cannot understand the Indian and understand the accent. And um,
Yeah,
but
totally.
yeah, so
I,
now,
I, I met Indian just only maybe I talk with Sky Group,
uh-huh,
and sometimes I didn't understand what that means, because like blah 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 blah, blah, you like kind of Indian accent, it's pretty
uh-huh,
much it's pretty tough for
yeah.
understanding.
Yeah, we've got some Indians on this on Verbling. I can think of two of them. One has a fairly strong accent, and the other one has, in my opinion, no accent at all. And I've told him that. I said, "Do you know who I'm talking about, Araceli?
Yes, what's his name? The one
Abimelech,
with the yes,
one with
with
the
that
two
picture
kids
with
on
the
this.
chick. Yes,
Yeah,
he's
he
got a
has
good accent.
he has a beautiful pronunciation, and so it's like, wow, Abimelech, how did you do that? So he doesn't know. He says, I just speak English. So
I don't know because do they speak English in India a lot because they were a former British colony or something?
yeah, the my understanding from because I one of my best friends is from Bangalore, and he was basically India has a lot of different first languages, but English is their what they use as their lingua franca. Basically, they use for in commerce, and so you know how they have the caste system in India.
Yeah.
Um, well, the higher the caste, the more likely they speak English.
So
So,
they are educated to speak English
uh
as
like
a sign of high education, maybe,
I,
or
I guess I'm not really sure. I know that my best friend, or he's one of my best friends, he went to boarding school and studied in English.
Mhm.
But I know that then some people have not studied, have not don't they speak Tamil, or there's like five or six or maybe 10 mother tongues in India. Hindi is one, Tamil is another, a lot of different ones. Do you know Shahat? Since you're actually close to you're from Singapore, right? Shahat, Sofat,
No, I am from Cambodia.
Cambodia. Okay.
Yeah, no
Oh, so you're
Singapore.
not close to India,
Yeah.
and I keep calling you Shahat.
Yeah, but uh the company in South Korea have a lot of Indian people who working here,
Uh-huh.
and like from Nepal, from Sri Lanka, from India. But the people from Nepal, it's
Mm-hmm.
the accent is better than Indian I working
Uh-huh.
with. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it depends on where they're from. Where I think
Mhm.
Abimelech is closer to Pakistan. He's from northern India, but I'm
Mhm.
not sure if that has anything to do with it, or why. So I asked him why his accent was so good. So I can't remember what he said. I think he just said thank you. So he's a great guy. So if you have a chance to meet him, Sofat, he's a good guy. So number 4. Wage inflation. I'm going to go ahead and read this one. Wage inflation, together with the rising strength of the Indian rupee caused by an economic growth rate of 9%, is certainly changing the way that Indian IT companies think about doing business and how to present their services. It is no longer possible to only provide a service to Western clients that is simply cheaper, according to this guy's Krishna Kumar
Not a
Natarajan. Natarajan, the president of IT services for Mindtree Consulting, an international IT consulting company headquartered in Bangalore. Quality and expertise have become essential now. A key challenge is that costs keep going up, he said. He said that one solution was to reduce overheads by concentrating people and operations, something that is easier for larger companies. Okay. So are there any words here that you guys do not know?
Headquarter.
Okay, headquarters are the main office. It's the head office is another word. So, for example, Samsung, my guess is their headquarters is in Seoul.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
and like in the U.S., many of our headquarters are in New York or Chicago. So, okay, Araceli, could you read number 5?
Industry bodies are centrally confident about the future, despite rising salaries and property costs. The National Association of Software and Service Companies, NASSCOM, reported recently that the industry grew by 30.7% in the last financial year, and that revenues increased to just under 40
Billion?
billion, okay. $40 billion.
Perfect. Thank you. All right, and Sofat, can you read number 6?
Okay. So how is the industry managing this? Partly it is the result of remaining price competitive. Despite
Despite?
the headline and the talk of raising salaries, wages are remain considerably lower, especially for entry-level employees, than in the US. In their starting salaries in the IT industry begin at about one one
About 10?
$10,000, about 1/6 of the equivalent salaries in the US.
Yes. So it began at about $10,000, about 1/6 of the equivalent salary in the U.S. Okay. Yeah. So competitive is how you would say that, and then remember despite. Okay. All right. Number 7, and I'll just go ahead and read the next 2. In addition, the sharp growth in Indian wages has been mostly limited to the IT sector. In other areas, such as call center operations, wages are still considerably lower than in the West. One challenge that companies are having to deal with in these areas, including Idaho, however, is the high staff turnover. And another threat India faces is from international competition, mainly from its neighbor and strategic and economic rival China and the Philippines, but also from new outsourcing centers such as Russia and Dubai and even Egypt. Mr. Natarajan and others remain confident that India will be able to deal with such challenges. He even said that there may be something in the genetic makeup of his country's citizens that gives them an advantage over their rivals. Indians tend to be very good at serving people. We are service-oriented, he said. Okay. Are there any words or phrases in these last 3 paragraphs that you do not know?
It's equivalent.
Equivalent. Okay. Something that is equivalent is equal. Equal. So where is it at, actually? Equivalent salary. Okay. So, or equal or the same. So basically, an IT manager would make $10,000 in India, and an IT manager in the US would make $60,000 for the exact same job, which is a very good salary in my area of the US. So, any other
Yes,
words?
I think that's a really high salary for here in Spain.
Is it?
60, yes, it will be for an IT starter. It will be maybe 15 or 20,000 euros, maybe. 60,000, it's not
Yeah.
something we are used to see.
The $60,000 is like 40,000 euro.
Yes, but this is very high, not for a starter, for a senior IT employee in the good times before the crisis, maybe. Now it's not any longer. But,
Okay.
but, but for a junior, it will be unthinkable of that.
Yeah.
So I see there are differences
Hmm.
with the US. Well, I suppose with Germany too. The Germans they have almost the double our salaries
Oh,
here for the
really?
same position. Yes, for example, if you're like a Java engineer, an IT engineer with 5 years of experience, maybe here in Spain you can earn 25,000 euros. In Germany, maybe you are going to earn 50 or 60,000 euros
Oh,
for
wow.
the same job.
Yeah. And I guess like in when I compare the situation in Finland versus the situation in Germany, I felt like Germans didn't make as much as Finns did. Um, but of course, it depends on the industry and so forth. And then, of course, the standard of living is very high as they're up there as well. So, but anyway, um, Sofat, do you see any other words that you do not know? Okay, so in one thing that's interesting is it says here, one challenge that companies are having to deal with in these areas, however, is a high staff turnover. And that is in my area of the U.S. in Idaho, the area that I live, they have the most call centers of any state in the region in the U.S. And one of the reasons is because we have a low standard of living, and they have this big, huge problem where what the people do is uh, they'll go to a call center and they'll take training for 4 or 6 or 8 weeks, and then they'll quit that job and go to the next call center. And apparently, if you go from one call center to the next like that, you can be employed in training for about a year. So, and then they do it again. So
But do they get a better salary by changing
no,
company?
no, but they don't have to do the work.
Ah, they are like in training
They're
field.
train what we call their call center their call center um, training jumpers.
Wow, it's very strange because I remember when I started to work in programming,
Uh-huh.
I started with a very low salary
Mhm.
because I had no experience. So I was working in a company for 6 months,
Mhm.
and so I was learning, but I was doing the job, but I was learning too. So after 6 months, I could jump to another company, and instead of earning so little salary, I could improve it a lot. I mean,
Mhm.
I think I was hired for 6,000 euros a year.
Wow.
So that was not enough to live. My
Uh-huh.
parents had to support me, but
Uh-huh.
after 6 months in that company, I could earn about I think 18,000 euros a year. So
which
I,
is enough for a young person. Yeah.
yeah, it was, 3 times the same salary because I just had that experience. So it
Uh,
was working for to gain the experience and then improve your salary.
yeah, and then you improve. And these people don't. They're usually they're young people. They're partiers. You look at them and go, "What? Why don't you go to school?" But they're just really not interested in bettering themselves or something like that. There was this one young girl that she was in training, and then she was assigned to my team, and I met her, and apparently I scared her to death because I told her, that I've had 2 people fired and 3 people promoted off of my team. So she thought she only heard the fired, um, and she came and she worked in maybe in 7 or 8 days. She worked 2 days, and the rest of the days she called in. so we were getting ready to fire her when she quit. But she was what we call a call center training jumper, because I heard that she was at another call center like 2 weeks later. So it was amazing. So all right. So let's see if we can remember any of these answers. Um, what is the main reason why some companies want to close down their outsourcing operations in India? Sofat, do you remember that answer?
I think I mean like maybe when the British people they don't understand the Indian action, and then I think it's maybe the I don't know what kind of the number, I forgot it.
Yeah, that's not actually the reason, but it's kind of a joke that eventually that will happen. The reason is because the wages
Mm-hmm.
in India
Uh,
have gotten high.
mm-hmm.
and because the wages of India have gotten high, they don't have to. Um, they're paying too much. They don't want to pay that much. So, um, RFLE, do you remember what reverse outsourcing is?
Yes, it refers the fact that jobs are returning to the Western countries.
Okay, and so then that's the joke that maybe eventually Indians will complain about Scottish accents. And believe me, if you have a true Scottish accent, it's hard to understand. Um, so what is the cause of the rising strength of India's currency? Either one of you remember?
I don't remember it.
Okay. All right. Well, anyway, we've been saved by the bell, because if we look at the time, it's almost over. So, all right. Well, I want to thank you all for your time and participation. I'm glad you were able to get in finally to the class, and hopefully they have fixed this problem by now. So
Okay.
it's been going on for 4 hours, but if you signed up for another class, just in the chat, ask the teacher for the link, and maybe the teacher will figure it out. So,
Yeah. Okay.
okay. All right.
Okay. Bye. See you, teacher.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye
Thank you.
bye.
Bye.
Yep.
Thank you very much. See you.